So a couple weeks ago, I had the great pleasure, as did many other PIC members, to hear Dr. Kevin Elko speak at a conference held in Saratoga. He shared with us the major difference between simply being interested in something versus fully committed to something. You see, so many of us say we are going to do things, but the reality is we just have an interest in doing something. Dr. Elko uses the example of somebody he knew who said he was going to lose weight. However, the reality was he was only interested in losing weight, because once he was tempted by chocolate brownies, he discovered he was interested in eating those too. So he did. And in doing so, his interest in the diet began to fade. Now, months later, he learned that his daughter was in need of a kidney transplant and that he was the perfect match for her. However, after a consultation with his doctor, he learned that he couldn't give her the kidney until he lost 75 pounds. So what happened next? He suddenly became committed to losing the weight, and he did. In fact, he lost 101 pounds over the next 6 months. So what changed? How was this man able to shift from being interested to becoming 100% committed to his goal? Well, I would argue that he discovered his why, and your why is something we're going to discuss tomorrow. But before we do, I want to share with you one of my all-time favorite stories today. And in my opinion, this story epitomizes what it means to find your why and be committed to your goals. Let me introduce you, if you haven't heard the story already, to Dick and Ricky Hoyt. They're a father and son who live in Massachusetts. Shortly after Ricky was born in 1962, he was diagnosed as a spastic quadriplegic with cerebral palsy. Doctors explained to the parents, to Dick and his spouse, that Ricky would never walk or talk, and advised them that they should probably put him in an institution because he'd just be a vegetable for the rest of his life. Well, the Hoyts disagreed. They decided to raise Ricky just like every other child. And years later, they provided Ricky with a computer that allowed him to communicate his thoughts on a screen. It was then that Ricky asked his dad if they could participate together in an upcoming charity run for a local paralyzed athlete. Now, Dick Hoyt was not a runner, but he was committed to not letting his son down. So he agreed to do the run, and he pushed Ricky through that 5-mile course, and they finished. Now, they finished second to last, but they finished. And what happened after the race ended is they returned home, and Ricky communicated to his father through his computer that during the run he felt like his disability had disappeared. It was at that moment that Dick Hoyt's why in his life became abundantly clear. He had always wanted his son to be involved, and this was his opportunity to participate in a sport, just like so many other kids do. And this was the moment that Dick Hoyt shifted from being interested in running to becoming fully committed to it. This commitment began in 1977, and 40 years later, Team Hoyt has participated in over 1,100 endurance events. They finished 72 marathons and 7 Ironman triathlons. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with what a triathlon is, 2.4 mile swim, where he pulled Ricky behind him. Once out of the water, he transferred Ricky, who weighs 110 pounds, to the front of a custom-made bike and then cycled for the next 112 miles. And when that portion of the race ended, he then secured Ricky back into the wheelchair and ran a full 26.2 mile marathon with him. They did that 7 times. And as if that wasn't enough, in 1992, Team Hoyt ran across the country, coast to coast. It took them 45 days, and they covered 3,735 miles. Team Hoyt's motto is, yes, you can. They explain that as long as you make up your mind to do something, you can do anything in life. At the age of 37, Dick Hoyt was never a runner, but he discovered his why and became 100% committed to the sport. 40 years later, at the age of 77, he and Ricky are still competing, and Team Hoyt was inducted into the Ironman Triathlon Hall of Fame. So here's my ask of you today. Look at your current goals and ask yourself, am I simply interested in them, or am I fully committed to them?